Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. As we get closer to fall, my mind starts to wander towards soups. I really love having soup for lunch. And one of the soups that I've had all over sort of Central America and the Caribbean is corn soup. And multiple variations of corn soup. And so I've played around with this idea for quite some time, trying to figure out how to make a corn soup that I really like, that grabs elements from different places. And so I'm going to try this today, and we're going to see what happens. So the first thing I have is some bacon. I've chopped it up, and I want to fry it off in this Dutch oven until it's nice and crisp. There we go. And that's kind of the wonderful thing about soup, is you can take a base soup and start to put in flavors that you've tasted in other places that you think will work together. So I've got onions, bell pepper, and jalapeno pepper, all chopped up, ready to go as soon as the bacon is done. I've got some cumin, because cumin, I think, goes really well with corn. And I've got some chopped up chipotle pepper in adobo sauce. Now the corn, I'm using frozen corn, because that's the easiest thing. And this is for my lunch, and, you know, no need to go whole hog. But if you wanted to go whole hog and start from scratch with corn on the cob, I would cut that corn off of the cob and then take the cobs, chop them up a little bit, put them into a Dutch oven, cover them with water, bring it to a simmer and simmer it, and then use that water later in the soup. I'm using chicken stock today, but you could use that corn stock or you could use any vegetable stock. And if you had to, you could just use water. It would be completely fine. Okay, it looks like the bacon is crisped up, so I'm going to take the bacon out. But I'm going to leave the fat in there. So there's the last of the bacon. Set that aside for a moment. Now in go all of the peppers, the jalapeno, and the onion. And I'm just going to toss those around and fry them off until they have softened. And scrape up the fond on the bottom of the pot. That is flavor. Okay, the veg has softened and the onions are just starting to get golden brown. So I've got some ground cumin, that goes in, and the chopped up chipotle and adobo. I really like chipotle and adobo. Comes in a little can. I never use a whole can in any one dish, so I usually just put it into a Tupperware container, fire it in the freezer, and then it's really easy to break off a little piece after it's frozen to use in the next dish and chop it up. So I'm going to stir that together, and that is super, super fragrant. That cumin is absolutely fantastic. And season to taste, a little bit of salt. Remember, there's salt in the bacon, and some fresh ground black pepper. And in goes the corn. And we'll just toss that in with the other vegetables, get a little bit of flavor going there. Now, if you were using fresh corn on the cob, it would be absolutely amazing if you grilled the corn first, got some char on the outside, some smoky flavor, and then cut it off the cob before you put it in here. That would add an incredible amount of flavor. Next in, the chicken stock. And that's not a lot of chicken stock for the amount of veg that's in there. This is almost more of a stew than a soup. There is more liquid going in later, but this is more of a stew than a soup. So I'm just going to bring that to a simmer, put a lid on, just cracked open a little bit. I'm going to let that simmer for 20-25 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and put in the next ingredients. Okay, let's take a look. This has come together really nicely. The liquid has boiled off a little bit. We haven't lost too much liquid, but it has concentrated. But I think this looks really good. I think we've got the right amount. If you think you don't have enough liquid at this point, you could add a little bit more stock or some water, but we are going to add some 35% whipping cream at this point. somewhere between a cup and 2 cups, again, depending on the amount of liquid or how creamy you like it. And so you have to make decisions when you're working in the kitchen. And this is one of those decisions. So I'm going to start with about a cup, which is half of that container. Stir that in, take a look at it, give it a taste, and decide if I want any more. That's great. This is also the point where you can adjust the seasoning a little bit. If it needs more salt, more pepper, you can add those things now. I think that's fantastic. So I'm going to leave this on super low, and I'm just going to let that cook for another 5 or 10 minutes before we serve it. Hey,
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends. Ooh. Welcome to a lovely bowl of soup.
Corn soup, corn chowder, depending on, oh, don't forget your bacon.
Oh, well, sorry. Whoops.
So I'm putting the crispy
a lot
bacon
of bacon.
back on top. Of course, if you had fresh cilantro chopped up, that would go really well on top as well.
There's a lot of corn in here.
Yeah, it is mostly corn. It is very cornful.
That's really good because it's not, it isn't a thick corn soup,
No,
right? It's a lovely, light
yeah.
liquid that goes with it.
And the flavor is not overpowering. It's very corny. It's very corny. The chipotle, you can play with the amount of chipotle in adobo to get the spiciness. I think this is pretty good for where I like it. 1 chipotle. And the jalapeno is just sort of that background note. It's like a bunny hug in a bowl. So I think this is going to go into a thermos, and I'm going to take it with me to the hangar while I'm working on the plane, because I think this would be really good at lunchtime.
Agreed. And I think it would be quite hearty.
It was a winner. Give it a try. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.